Having slept for 5 years, the man wakes up only to find he has become the last hope of mankind, because 95% of the men on Earth are extinct, while the number of women remains at 5 billion. To ensure the reproduction of mankind, the government sends many beautiful girls to sleep with him. Since then, the man has lived a hard but happy harem life. Let's reveal his story in today's recap. In 2040, the male protagonist of this anime, Raito, plucks up his courage to confess his feelings to his beloved Elisa, and the two become a couple. Unfortunately, later, Raito suffers from a rare disease. As medical technology at this time cannot cure his disease, Raito has to say goodbye to Elisa and be put into cryostasis until the cure for his disease is developed. 5 years later, Raito wakes up from the cryostasis device. He is surrounded by female staff, which Raito finds very strange. A girl named Mira tells Raito what happened when he was in cryostasis. 4 years ago, a horrifying virus called MK appeared in the world, and only males could be infected by the MK virus. Once people are infected with the MK virus, they die quickly. All the other men in the world died as a result. Due to Raito's special illness, he accidentally acquired immunity to the MK virus and survived. Raito can't believe Mira's words, but when he comes to the streets of the city, he does not see any men. When the women see Raito, they are all very excited and want to touch him. Mira's men stop the women. Mira then tells Raito that she is a secretary sent by the government to help him. The government orders Mira to assist Raito to sleep with as many women as possible so that humans could continue to reproduce. At this time, the world is ruled by a government called UW. The Japanese branch of the UW government finds a total of 5 surviving men. These men all have the same rare disease as Raito and were put into cryostasis until this day. Today, the disease can now be cured. Before Raito, a man named Kyoji wakes up first. Kyoji accepts the UW government's advice and is sleeping with as many women as possible. That night, Mira suddenly comes to Raito's room, and she wants to sleep with Raito. But Raito rejects her because Raito is deeply in love with Elisa. He doesn't want to sleep with a woman other than Elisa. However, Elisa has been missing for a long time, and Raito will not be able to see her again for the time being. The next day, Mira takes Raito to meet more beautiful girls, and she thinks that among so many beautiful girls, there must be the type Raito likes. But Raito still rejects the beauties. Mira tells Raito that his choice could lead to the extinction of humanity. Raito has to ask Mira for a month. If he can't find Elisa within a month, he will accept the UW government's advice to sleep with other girls. Mira agrees to Raito's request, but she also offers a condition. Since Mira has to get the job done, she still needs to send beautiful girls to seduce Raito. Raito has to endure constant temptation throughout the month. Soon after, a beautiful girl breaks into the bathroom while Raito is taking a shower. Raito feels very shy. Later, Raito learns that this beauty is a bodyguard sent to him by the UW government. Apart from her, the UW government sends another girl to Raito as a bodyguard. The girl is a mutant who has the power to easily kill a bear. Raito takes them to the place where Elisa worked to look for clues. Elisa's previous work was to study the MK virus, but a few years ago, she suddenly disappeared. Raito, like Elisa, is a researcher of viruses. Raito decides to take over Elisa's research and try to save the world in this way. Raito has a younger sister named Mahiru. When she sees the news of Raito's awakening, she first comes to the UW Government Research Institute. Raito is at this institute, reading what Elisa left behind. Mahiru finds a bracelet among the dolls left by Elisa. This bracelet can only be unlocked by Raito. Raito thinks there might be a secret hidden in the bracelet, so he checks the bracelet privately. There is indeed a secret video hidden in the bracelet, in which Elisa tells Raito that she has discovered that the MK virus is man-caused, and tells Raito to pay attention to his safety. Raito is so surprised that he decides to secretly investigate the MK virus and find out the truth as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the UW government is poised to wake up the third surviving male. The name of the third surviving male is Shota. He was a high school student before he was put into cryostasis. Shota was a loser in high school, because he was born with white hair and was called little old man by others. None of the boys wanted to be friends with Shota. Girls didn't like him either. Only one beautiful music teacher treated Shota nicely, so Shota had a crush on her. Later, because of his rare disease, Shota could only choose to be put into cryostasis. When he wakes up, he is still living at the school. Shota's secretary, Karen, selects a group of beautiful girls for him as classmates, but the secretary conceals the UW government's order, and Shota is unaware that the UW government orders him to sleep with as many girls as possible. At the same time, the secretary also conceals the survival of other men, and Shota thinks that he is the only surviving male. Initially, Shota doesn't fit into a class with only female classmates, and he often feels shy. After class, Shota is surprised to find that the music teacher is also in the school. That evening, the music teacher comes to Shota's room. She suddenly turns off the light and kisses Shota. Shota is so happy that he thinks he is dreaming. Shota then has a wonderful night with his music teacher. The next day of school, Shota is excited to find that all the students are paying attention to him. The female classmates fight for Shota's favor, and they all want the only male in the school to sleep with them. Shota feels very fresh and happy about this kind of life. Karen deliberately conceals the UW government's order because she believes it will allow Shota to enjoy living with female classmates more and benefit human reproduction. In fact, Karen's plan is very successful. Shota loves his current life very much. According to Karen's plan, Shota follows it by starting to date a lot of girls and sleep with them. But Karen thinks that the relationship is too time-consuming. She tells Shota the truth shortly after. The girls in the school are all beauties carefully selected by her. They are beautiful and are also into the type of boy like Shota. So Shota should keep complying with the UW government's order to sleep with as many girls as possible. By this time Shota has passed the stage of being shy, so he takes the task positively. Karen has also won the appreciation of UW government officials. Meanwhile, since Raito has not slept with women, the UW government thinks Mira is not capable enough, so they send 2 more secretaries to Raito. The new secretaries think that Raito should not stay at the institute all the time, so they take Raito to a small town suitable for tourism. The secretaries know that Raito has been concentrating on studying the MK virus recently, and they are worried that Raito would refuse the trip, so the town they choose is also related to the MK virus. It's a town with great hot spring inns and also the place where the first MK virus infection appeared. When they arrive at the hot spring inn, the secretaries and bodyguards come to Raito and soak in the hot spring with him. Raito feels very shy and quickly flees. Raito doesn't want to get close and personal with beautiful girls. All he wants is to study the MK virus. After this, Raito goes to visit an old lady. The old lady's husband was the first man infected with the MK virus, but she is reluctant to talk about this sad past. Raito is very persistent, and he visits the old lady several times, hoping to convince her to tell him some useful information. The old woman is very surprised to learn that Raito wakes up and refuses to sleep with women other than his beloved one. The old lady is touched by Raito's sincerity, and she finally decides to tell Raito something a day later. But the old lady is poisoned that night and falls into a coma. It seems that someone doesn't want Raito to know more about the MK virus. Raito doesn't give up, and he goes to a hospital. After the old lady's husband fell ill, they once came to this hospital for treatment. Now that the hospital is abandoned, Raito and others come to the hospital to see if there are some clues, but they find nothing. After returning to the UW government's research institute, Raito's bodyguards tell Raito that many MK virus researchers have gone missing in recent years, so Raito must be careful. They suspect that UW government leaders are responsible for the missing virus researchers. Raito's bodyguards and secretaries are supportive of Raito's research on the MK virus, so they secretly set up a base in the abandoned hospital, allowing Raito to investigate outside of the UW government's surveillance. They later discover that many of the MK virus infectors and researchers disappeared at this specific hospital. Coupled with the fact that this hospital was the place where the first infected person was treated, Raito speculates that this hospital may also be the first place to make the MK virus. The UW government rules the world and is headquartered in the United States, but the headquarters of the UW government is at odds with many national branches. Recently, the staff of the headquarters prepare to come to the Japanese branch to pick up the surviving men, but the Japanese branch is reluctant to hand over the surviving men because they don't trust UW government headquarters. On this day, Shota takes a fancy to a girl who he wants to sleep with tonight, but the girl turns Shota down. It turns out that the girl is an undercover agent, and she is also Elisa's partner. At this time, Shota is accustomed to school life, and he lives a happy life with his female classmates every day, without feeling that he has become a resource that is fought for by major forces. The first man the UW government's headquarters wants to take is Raito. They send emissaries to negotiate with the officials of the Japanese branch, and also send a special force to secretly take Raito. Special forces bushwhack the Japanese branch and transfer Raito to another location. UW government headquarters then declares war directly on the Japanese branch. The headquarters men quickly arrest the leader of the Japanese branch in order to find the rest of surviving men as soon as possible. That night, there is an attack inside Shota's school, and an explosion suddenly breaks out in Shota's dormitory. Luckily, Shota suffers only minor injuries, because the main purpose of this explosion is to take Shota, not to kill him. Karen tells Shota that the people who carry out the explosions come from a resistance group that doesn't want to be ruled by the UW government, so they have been fighting the UW government. Karen also tells Shota that in fact, the exterior wall of the school has high voltage electricity, people outside can't get in and people inside can't get out. The whole school is like a prison, and Shota is an inmate in it. But Karen decides to change Shota's life. She no longer hides the truth and tells Shota that there are 4 men alive besides Shota. Shota is a little surprised, but then Karen says something that stuns him even more. Karen wants to work with Shota to become the most powerful person in the world. Karen can't do it alone, but it can be achieved with Shota's participation. Shota is persuaded by Karen, so they are ready to leave school and go to the UW government to fight for more power. Undercover agents of the resistance discover that Shota is working with Karen and report the incident to Elisa. Elisa seems to be the leader of the resistance. At this time, Elisa is holding a rally with a group of rebels. They take advantage of the UW government headquarters confrontation with the Japanese branch and steal a cryostasis device, in which male survivor number 4 lies inside. Meanwhile, someone from UW headquarters tells Raito that Elisa is a member of the resistance, and claims that it is the wrong decision of the Japanese branch to let male survivors keep sleeping with women. Then something happens that shocks the world. The resistance broadcasts live globally how they rescue the 4th surviving male. Elisa also tells people around the world that they discover that the MK virus is made by UW government headquarters. Some people in the UW government headquarters hate men so much that they secretly create the MK virus, which leads to the disaster, and they plan to continue killing the rest of surviving males. Elisa calls on people around the world to rebel against the UW government and protect the surviving men. After watching the live broadcast, Raito asks UW government staff if they want to kill him, but the staff firmly denies this statement. However, Raito's bodyguards and secretaries all think that the UW government might harm Raito, so they decide to help Raito escape from the UW government. At this time, Shota also comes to this area, but he looks completely different from before. It turns out that Karen used a special technique to make Shota look more reliable. She made him 5 years older and look stronger. She also had surgery to modify Shota's vision, and Shota no longer wears glasses. When Shota left school, he also brought out his favorite female classmates. They still live with Shota. After Raito leaves, Shota tells Karen that he thinks Raito is a talent and that Kyoji doesn't look reliable. If Raito wants to leave the UW government, he has to get a lot of help. Raito tells Mira about the idea, hoping that Mira will help him. Mira abruptly takes off her clothes and says that if Raito wants to get her help, he must first have an intimate interaction with her. Raito rejects Mira again, much to Mira's sadness because she is already in love with him. Raito can't bear to see Mira being sad and finally kisses her. That's when someone from UW headquarters suddenly captures Raito and Mira. It turns out that UW headquarters have long discovered that Raito wants to escape, but they underestimate Raito's bodyguards. Raito's bodyguards defeat them easily and help Raito escape the area. On the other side, Karen and Shota make a request. They want to meet 3 leaders at UW headquarters. All 3 leaders are said to be as intelligent as the genius and all have a deep hatred for men. Karen also requests that she take over the position of Japanese branch leader. The negotiations do not go well, and UW headquarters does not immediately accede to Karen's request. But Karen believes that sooner or later she and Shota will rule the world in place of the 3 leaders. That night, Raito arrives at a nearby port. Mira doesn't plan to leave with him, and she says goodbye to Raito affectionately. Raito hugs Mira before leaving, promising to come back and see her again. Raito then leaves Japan by boat with the others, and they are about to go to the Resistance's sphere. At this time, Kyoji calls Raito by video to cheer him up. They had some interactions before, and he contacts Raito through a secret network without being discovered by UW headquarters. Kyoji thought about leaving as well but ultimately didn't dare to do it. Little does Kyoji know that his weakness could kill him, because UW headquarters immediately starts a new plan. They are indeed ready to kill the surviving men. However, with Karen's help, UW headquarters does not intend to kill Shota but instead prepares to use Shota to better rule the world. In the end, Raito meets his girlfriend, Elisa, on the territory of the resistance. The two hug each other tightly. They vow to work together to make an antidote to the MK virus and overthrow the UW government. This concludes the first season of World's End Harem. At the end of the anime, Raito finally meets his beloved girlfriend. Raito's loyalty to his girlfriend touches me a lot. I hope he and his girlfriend can live happily in the end. Men in this anime have made various choices. What kind of person would you choose to be if you were a man in this anime? Welcome to share your thoughts in the comment area. Also, don't forget to give me thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you like this anime. If you want to see more recaps about this anime, just comment below to let me know. See you in the next video. Bye!